Another hour of Real Talk with Judy live radio show. I'm really excited about our show today, and I would like to remind you or invite you to go ahead and call, text, Facebook your family and friends, and let them know that the Real Talk with Judy show is on the air. I would like to acknowledge those who are responsible for bringing us on the air. Once again, to my husband and executive producer, Superintendent Gerald Mandrell, always glad he's a good supporter. To my mother, Mother Irma Wesley there in Fort Lauderdale, to all my platinum sponsors, my sister Tanya Wesley, to my brother and sister Carolyn and Douglas Waddell, Danette McBride, to all my business partners, life changers, dream builders, K&D Creative Designs and Marketing Solution, Tawanda Davis Photography, Miss D's Kitchen. Y'all go get some of Miss D's Kitchen. That lady can cook, I'm absolutely telling you. And she's located on the corner of Orange Avenue and Spring Hill Road. That's right there on the corner. And to the law offices of Craig J. Brown, PA, Tony Homestyle Cooking and Seafood, and to all of my individual partners, I want to thank you so very much for supporting us and getting us on this air and keeping us going. We greatly appreciate you very, very much. Just so excited to have so many people who will support us and get us on the air. Want you to also, if you would like to become a partner at any time, or you want to make a one-time donation, go to my website, www.realtalkwithjudy.com. Also, I would like for you all to subscribe to my YouTube channel at Real Talk with Judy Live Radio Show. I have a YouTube channel, and I want you to subscribe to it. You can listen to this show and other shows. This show is going to be good. I am excited about today. This is the first time I've done this, and I'm so excited. I told y'all I was going to do it, so I did it. To all of my producers and advisors, my brother Chico the Virgo, my sister Cindy, Holden, the CEO of Developing Nation in the United Kingdom over in Scotland, to Doc D of Heaven 98.3, my awesome producer, and Heaven 14 AM Stellar Award nominations for Small Market. We're ready for that. I believe y'all getting ready to go on a cruise, TNL. They're going over there in the water to turn that thing out. So Uncle Joe Bullitt, and to Overseer Greg James and Lisa Truesdale. Yesterday was my Uncle Skip's birthday. So I want to say happy birthday, Uncle Skip.
Happy birthday, Uncle Skip.
My ladies in here are wild. I'm telling you, I'm excited. In just a minute, you're going to see all of them. A lot of y'all know them already, but I'm glad to have them on my show. So, Pastor, would you give us a prayer before we get started? Yeah. I know I got you doing some of everything.
You sure do.
So that's why y'all got to marry a good man. That's what happened in 37 years. Go ahead.
Father, I thank you for this day, for your grace and your mercy. Thank you for your loving kindness. God, I just thank you for the favor that you have placed upon us. And I pray that the words that we share today will touch a heart, a soul somewhere, and that someone's life will be changed for the better. And we will give your name glory, honor, and praise in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you so very much. Today is March 6, 2018. We are in the third month of the year, and this is the first Tuesday in March, and I told y'all that I'm bringing to you the Sister Girls Talk. And so this is the first Sister Girls Talk, and I am truly excited about it. It's the Sister Girls Talk on the Real Talk with Judy live radio show, and I am excited about today's show. And today, I have on the Sister Girls panel 4 outstanding women. 3 of them I met at Women Wednesday, and you're going to hear about that from the co-founder. I'm excited about Wednesday Women, and it's just exciting. And today's show come from our last Wednesday meeting. It was absolutely fantastic. I think we had Jeremy Matlow.
Yeah, he's the owner of Gain Street Pies.
Yeah, the owner of Gain Street Pie Board. He did a fantastic job speaking to us, and so we're gonna have an awesome show. First, I would like to welcome my guest, Barbara Wescott, who's the founder of Swellcoin and co-founder of Women Wednesday.
That's right.
So we're glad to have Barbara. Then we have Danette McBride, and a lot of y'all see her with me everywhere. She's a communication engineer with the state of Florida, and also the CFO of she's the Chief Financial Officer of Dream Builders Entity. Everything I do, she's my Chief Financial Officer. She can keep that money. She's also the founder of, is it Go Live? Yes. Go Live is a, she'll explain it again in just a few minutes. She's a board member of Life Changer, praise and worship leader, and all that good, and executive assistant to me. Welcome, Danette McBride.
Thank you. I'm excited about being here.
Yeah. Then I met at Women Wednesday a young lady who she said young.
Young. Thank you.
I have two more young ladies here. We're excited about them. And Vamdermeer, who is the award-winning editor and anthologist.
Thank you. Yes.
And y'all, they're gonna tell you all something about themselves in just a moment. But I'm just excited. Then we have Judy, who's spelled Judee, Judy Light, the founder of Feeling Uplifted Now. Judy, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Judy.
We're so excited to have all of you all here today. Thank you all so very much. And as we were talking last week, but before we get into that, I want you all to just say about 3 minutes about who you are, so our audience can hear and see who we're bringing to this table, because Barbara's going to tell us what this year is all about. This is the year of the woman. So, Barbara, go ahead. Just say something to the audience.
Yeah, well, again, I'm Barbara Wescott, and I'm a startup entrepreneur located out of Domey Station, which is our community incubator. And when I first started there, I started a company called Swellcoin, which is doing a shop tally initiative. But one of the things I noticed when I was in that environment is that there just weren't a whole lot of women, and there particularly weren't women of, a little bit more maturity. And I wanted to change that, and so I started a program called Women Wednesdays.
Yes.
And the whole mission of Women Wednesdays is that when you have places of opportunity like Domey, or other, incubator spaces, co-working spaces, or really any place that's a place of opportunity that doesn't have enough women there, we want to change that. Sometimes all it takes is to have a warm welcome.
Yes.
and a voice for saying, hey, we want more women here. We want more diversity. And so that's what I do.
Yeah, and y'all, Women Wednesday is awesome. So we really want to invite you to come. It's every Wednesday.
Yeah, so we have this amazing, co-working incubator space right here in Tallahassee. And I know that they exist in other places all over the country. But at Domey Station, anyone from the community, we're sort of focused on women, but we don't exclude men, can come and co-work at Domey Station completely for free on Wednesdays between the hours of 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. And sometimes we have a speaker at lunch.
Yeah, and it was really good. I think Wednesday was my second or third time going, and it is absolutely fantastic. And
Hi, my name is Ann Vamdermeer. I'm really happy to be here. I'm so glad that I decided to go to Women's Wednesdays last Wednesday, because it was the first time I went, and I was able to meet these wonderful, vibrant, exciting women. I have been in the publishing industry for about 30 years, but before I was publishing, I was also in the computer industry. I worked in computers, software development for 32 years, retired from that career a couple of years ago, so I'm spending my full-time efforts in editing and anthologies. My latest anthology that I'm working on right now is called The Big Book of Classic Fantasy, which is fantasy stories from around the world from the 1800s through 1945. I also wanted to mention that I was an editor for Weird Tales magazine. I'm not sure if you all have ever heard of Weird Tales magazine, but it was the first and oldest fantasy magazine ever in this country. And I was only the second female editor.
Wow.
After almost 100 years
Wow.
of publishing. Only the second female editor. So I just wanted to point that out, that, there's a lot of opportunities out there. We have a long way to go, and I'm very happy to be here. Thank you so much, Judy. Oh, also, one last thing I want to add. Today is my birthday.
yeah. I have that on here because last year you had the opportunity of spending it somewhere, and I get to have the honor of having you to spend at least an hour on the Real Talk with Judy show. And now I'm even more excited because you were the first woman in 100 years, the second woman in 100 years to be a part of that. What you just said? What was
Weird Tales magazine.
Weird Tales magazine.
Yeah, the first woman was in the 40s. So
Wow.
yes, that's what I'm talking about.
What an honor. What an honor. And if you all listen, Ann and Barbara have used the word opportunity. And so we want to take advantage of some of the opportunities that we have here in Tallahassee that can spread abroad. And that's one of the things I like about Tallahassee. We still have a long ways to go, but we have come a long ways. And we want to go ahead and take advantage of these opportunities. And I believe the youngest one at the table is you, Danette. Danette McBride. Welcome to the Real Talk with Judy show again.
Thank you. As you stated, my name is Danette McBride. I hail from Riviera Beach, Florida. I had the awesome opportunity to matriculate at the Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University. Majored in electrical engineering. I am with the state of Florida in telecommunications. I'm a communications engineer there. Have been there for over 19 years. I've worked in emergency communications for over about 15 years. I am a connected and active member of the one and only Life Changers Church of God in Christ,
yes,
under the impeccable leadership of Superintendent Gerald Mandrell and Dr. Judy Mandrell. I love the ministry. I love just the opportunities they gave me to build myself while here in Tallahassee. I've been a math tutor for over 20 years, and recently I've started the brand of the organization of Go Live. For young ladies. LIVE stands for Ladies of Intelligence, Value, and Excellence. Just inspiring young ladies to go live, to just be confident in what they know and be courageous and allowing themselves to glow and just being excellent and being able to be committed to going beyond the norm and growing. So I'm excited about the opportunities that I've been given to be able to be a mentor and to be an example of young ladies who desire not only the STEM field, but just leadership, and just to be that tangible example to say not only can we do it, but we can do it and do it well.
Thank you so very much. And unfortunately, Danette's grandma passed last night, and she's here with us, and want to say thank you. And we're absolutely praying for your family. But we do appreciate you being here. Her grandmother was 93.
Yes.
93. So she lived a good life, and we'll thank you so very much. And then we have Judy, Judee, Judy Light. Welcome to the Real Talk with Judy show.
Thank you. I love being here. I love diversity. I think being blessed with being raised in a military family in the Air Force and moving all over and meeting all kinds of different people really just instilled in me I love to do different things, and I love to expand my comfort zone. So I've done a lot of different things. I worked for the Department of Education for many years. When I first started there, it was not diverse. There were only white people in the Department of Education. And I did a lot of different things. I was the first affirmative action EEO person. When they did hire a minority person and he decided that he didn't want the job after all, then I got the job, and I did training, employee training. And I worked there for 26 years until my spirit would not let me do it any longer. And so I've done all kinds of things since then. Right now, I'm a mindset coach, a mindset heart set coach. I've been speaking at Unity churches for 26 years as a lay speaker, and I do workshops. I help people face their fears because I feel like fear is something that keeps us from being diverse.
Yes.
People facing diversity. So I help people expand their comfort zones and face their fears.
Wow. So you say you are a mindset,
Heart set.
coach.
Yeah, I think we've got to get them both involved and combine them.
Yeah. I haven't heard of that. That's interesting. That's interesting. And I'm sure that some of it's going to come up here. And one of the things that you said, ladies, we're glad to have you. I'm honored to have each of you on the Real Talk with Judy live show. And today we are discussing intentionally diversifying. That's what we're going to, and we have a diversified group at this table, and I wanted us here. We represent Tallahassee, parts of Tallahassee anyway. I know we don't have all the diversified groups here in Tallahassee, but one of the things I love about Women Wednesday as well, we come into that space ready to learn and to glean from each other, but there's a certain connectivity that seems to be happening there as well. I believe if we're going to expand our cultural boundaries and unlearn the prejudice that's unraveling our country, we must intentionally throw open the gates to friendship, social experiences, and broaden our circles. That's what I believe, that if we're going to do that, it has to be intentional. What are your viewpoints on that?
I absolutely agree with you. You do have to make the effort, because if you're just going to go by your habits, your default is going to be where you're comfortable and the people around you that you're used to. So in order to diversify, you do have to make it a priority. You have to make those connections. You have to reach out to other people. That's the only way it's going to happen. And if you do it long enough, then that becomes your habit. Then your default's not going to be your comfort zone of everyone that looks like you and thinks like you. If you make it your intention and you work on that on a regular basis, and it's a constant thing, you have to constantly be reaching out. You can't ever say to yourself, I've done it. You have to say, I can do more, because I feel like you can always do more. And I love what Judy said about the mind and the heart connection. You have to bring both those things together when you're doing this reaching out. And the only way that you're going to be able to improve yourself, body, mind, and soul, is by reaching out to other people and learning from other people. You can't just say, I've done it.
I think one of the things when she was talking about reaching out initially in the intentional part is to really reach in and to be honest with yourself. Like you said, to realize that you either have not created the habit or not been confident or consistent enough to reach out, but just to reach in initially, because you're reaching in to reach out. And then when you begin to reach out, you're actually pulling in to make those connections. I think a lot of where we often fall is where we may start, but we have a challenge of finishing, or it may seem great, but the consistency of being able to start after we reach in to reach out, to make those connections and be, like you said, intentional and make it habitual, just to not fall back, because it's easy to fall back on what you're used to after making the, like, I've accomplished it, I went out, I made that connection, I did something different, but it must become more of a lifestyle than just an actual task.
Yeah, and I agree, because even when I started this live radio show, when I started this show, my show was sponsored, financed, a whole lot of things by the majority of white women. We sat down, Lisa Miller, Lisa Truesdale, and a couple of others were the ones I sat down with. Other than Greg James, we sat, a black male, we sat down and for almost 4 hours and went over everything. But Lisa Miller, Lisa Truesdale, she gave me she sponsored it. She brought me in because I told her I wanted the diversity. I didn't want it just to be for black women. I want my show to be for people whoever would listen. I wanted my audience to be for people. I wanted my guests to represent Tallahassee. You know, that's what I wanted. And what happened, initially, it started off like that. I mean, it was diversified good. And then I went back to what I was familiar with, my habit. And intentionally, a couple of things happened that made me do that. I invited one guest, and they said, "Well, you have mostly a black audience. I'm used to talking to mostly white people." I said, "You don't know who's listening on the other end. I don't know who's listening to me, but I'm glad." But then it came to me, you have to be intentional about what you're doing.
Yeah, it just like for me at Domi Station, saying I wanted more women, starting Women Wednesdays, I didn't want it to just be white women. I wanted it to be white women, black women, you know, all women across the community, and different, you know, ages too. And it happened to be a very young environment, so, you know, getting to expand minds and practices and team building and all that stuff, it does take intention, and to decide that it's important. And it is important, because for anybody who's doing some sort of effort or initiative, having diversity in your team is probably going to be one of the biggest indicators for you to be successful. So to have a diverse pool of people is going to be critical. And in terms of fairness, if we have a community incubator, in fairness to everyone, it should be a place for everyone.
For everyone, and I think that's what we have to understand. Judy, you mentioned when you were talking about fear, and I believe that's one of the reasons we really don't reach out. I mean, to me, that's one of the reasons, probably one of many, that we don't reach out to others who are different because we're afraid. I believe that a lot of times we're afraid of what we perceive, but what we really don't know. And what we don't understand, we tend to fear it.
Yes, our perceptions actually create our reality, and they're usually false. And I found that every time I've stepped out of my comfort zone, it's always worked for the better. And part of making these connections that you all are talking about, once we make these connections, a big thing is to be able to truly listen to the other person. Truly listen, instead of wanting to share everything we've got to share. And get to know them and learn about them. Once you get to know a person, you can't fear them. You can't go to war with them. We're all more alike than we are different.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. And we have more in common because I'm sure everybody in the world right now scared.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Somehow.
I'm sure it doesn't matter your religious affiliation, your political party. I believe everybody right now praying to God or whoever they pray to. I believe people are, because we're living in a very uncertain time and we don't know what the next minute is going to hold. We can come together in spite of our differences, but in our diversity, and talk about it. I mean, I love it. I joined the Leon County. All right, listen to this. I am part of the Leon County Sheriff Department Citizen Academy. Yes. And I joined that, and I have 2 new sons, Woody and Cash. Y'all know them from 103.1 Fresh Country. They are my new sons, and I'm excited. I turned on the radio last Wednesday and listened to country music, 103.1 FM Fresh Country, and they call me Mama Judy.
That's great. That's terrific.
And I love it. And I'm already thinking, what could we do in this city?
I love it.
FM 103.1 FM. Thanks to my brother. And Real Talk with Judy. How can we come together and do something in this city to bring all the different folks who listen to the different music together under one umbrella for the cause of just bringing in diversity?
That's an excellent idea. Pulling people together through music.
Yes.
Who doesn't love music? We all have our own musical tastes, but to be able to share what we love with other people and learn about their musical taste, that's an excellent idea, Judy.
Yeah, thank you. And
you need to do it.
I'm going to do it.
You need to do it.
I'm going to do it. And matter, you're going to help? Yes.
Yes.
See, that's what it's all. And we want all the different genres.
Right.
You know, I'm turning 60 next year if the Lord allow me to live. And on February the 9th, I want to have a big party at Cascade, free.
You did
But
it.
I want,
You did it last year.
I did do it last year. I did do it last, but it wasn't my birthday, baby. This time it's going to be my birthday. And I told them to see if T&L is available. I want Woody and Cash to come out and help. Joe Bullard. We're going to have a big birthday party. And I'm going to have hamburgers and hot dogs, and we're going to dance, and we're going to have fun. I want the steel drums. I want everybody out there because that's what life is about.
Yes.
That's what life is about. And it's the differences of us that make life so wonderful. Y'all agree?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
man. That,
Any opportunity to celebrate, take it.
Right.
I always
Celebrate.
say if you played music and danced every day, there would be no war.
oh,
If everyone on the planet did that.
oh, that is
Couldn't be.
awesome. Joan Sidney Thomas, who was Rodney Hannah's mother, I call her my grandmother. She supports me in every single avenue. Every single avenue. I also joined Village Square. I'm a member of Village Square. And because y'all, I want to know Tallahassee, because this is where I live. And I don't want to just know my black American, my black people. I don't know all them. But I want to know, I want to be able to go to the projects. I want to be able to go to the governor's mansion. As soon as Andrew Gilliam get there, I know y'all may not be voting for him, and it is okay. But as soon as he get there, I want to go there. I've been there with Governor Scott because his wife, Aunt Scott, thanks to Derek McGee, gave me an opportunity to go there, and I find her to be an awesome lady. I mean, fantastic woman. But I wouldn't have known that if I hadn't taken the time to speak to her myself. Even President Thrasher is an honorable man. I wouldn't have known that if I had not been invited to sit at his table in his office, and he talked to me, and he poured things into me. Even now, he still send me encouragement, and he sent things to me. On my 100th show, he called in, busy. I wouldn't have known what an awesome man he was if I didn't have the opportunity to sit down with him. Our former president at FAMU, Elvira Magnum, I wouldn't have known what an awesome woman she was. I mean, Tina Pate, all of these wonderful people, y'all. You know, if I just said, I'm just gonna stay in my little cabinet and stay there, I wouldn't see the beauty of Tallahassee through the diversity that we hear. And I've decided, Barbara, to even be more intentional.
Well, I have that same yearning you do. I don't want to just have my little white world. I want this community. I want us to be together in friendships, working on businesses together, playing music together, whatever it is. But I think a lot of us have that same yearning. And I think when you talk about Village Square, I think they're doing a lot of work in that regard.
Really
and I do think it's making a difference. And, you know, I've enjoyed us getting to know each other as friends and a lot of different, you know, people that I've met and connected with. And it's neat when you put yourself out in the universe, you know, in an open way and connecting to openly to people, the amazing people that come into your life.
And I think volunteer work is a wonderful way to experience diversity. One of the places I volunteer right now is the Community Connections Restorative Justice Program for teens out of Palmer Monroe Community Center. And these are teens that have been arrested for a misdemeanor, and rather than having it on their record, they could be court ordered to come into this program, or they could be referred, or even volunteer now because they have friends that go through it. But they teach them nonviolent communication, and they take a class that teaches them this, and they're heard, they're listened to. Most of these kids have never been heard. No one listens to them. And they're heard, and they're not judged, and they learn to express empathy to each other. And when they go in there, they think this is a stupid program. And then I get to watch them at graduation saying how their lives have changed and how they now know how to show empathy. And I think, you know, any of those kids could be one of those we read about that's been shot or is a shooter, but not after they go through that program. And it's just amazing. And you mentioned Mayor Gillum, he's supportive of that program, and Cindy Bigby is the director, and they sure could use a lot more staff and a lot more funding. It's a city-sponsored program.
What's the name of it?
Community Connections Restorative Justice.
Okay, somebody go volunteer, go become.
See, this is why representation is so important. Our young people are looking at us. They're watching what we do. They don't care what we say. They're looking at what we do. And representation is so important. And that's why it's important for us to lift people up and not just talk about diversity, but live diversity. I mean, I can give you perfect examples right now. We're in the Oscar season. We just had the Oscars. The biggest blockbuster movie that has come out this year is what? Black Panther, right? For years, Hollywood was saying there's no way that a movie with black superheroes is going to make money. Police.
Right.
That movie has exploded. Another great movie, Wonder Woman. Okay, again, we're talking superheroes, but still, this is what the kids are watching, and they're seeing this. So when they see that representation, and they see, not only does this look like me, maybe this looks like my best friend. Maybe this looks like the girl down the street, or the guy they go to school with, or something like that. It's all about representation. So it's not just in what we do, but in what we see.
And how important do you all think, or how important, what is your opinion? Because I'm just listening to you, and I totally agree with it. Listen to the program and listening to it. How important is it for parents in the home to get their children exposed to diversity now, especially at young ages?
Oh, very important. I did that with my kids who are now adults, and I do that with my grandchildren. And my middle grandson, he's so cute. I get him into all kinds of things. When he comes up to visit me, he's so willing to do all these different things with me, and he just relates to people of all ages, all races, all types. I think it's very important.
I agree. I think it's extremely important initially in the younger ages because it's able to diminish some of, like you said, the perceptions that we have that are untrue, and it's able to build a better reality of what real diversity and connection is. If they start making those connections, start getting that exposure to understand that the world is diverse and start to love diversity and love the difference, that it's okay to be different. I love being different, unique, but yet being able to celebrate the uniqueness in someone else. I think at a younger age it's imperative because it's more difficult and challenging to change the perception and feel of adults when they've had so many years of building on those those untrue perceptions, than to actually have them be able to experience those particular things initially. And in piggybacking even with the youth, with the superheroes, I think it's important that they have these tangible heroes in their community to be able to see and touch. I mean, it's great on the screen, and I love it, but I think it's even a more greater impact as volunteers and different ones to make sure that our outreach and our in-reach, so they can actually see tangibly some of the things that they can do for young girls, for young minorities, for black boys, white boys, and just for children initially to be able to see diversity, but then be able to tangibly actually be able to see the work of it and to see the greatness of it.
Yeah. That is absolutely true. I agree with that 100%, and that's one of the reasons why I tell people I love the way I was raised. You know, because our parents exposed us to so much, and so when I'm now, I think a lot of our hatred, a lot of our evil, is from people who have not really spent time with other people from different than themselves. I can't remember, but Village Square in the Leon County just had at the Moon.
Yes.
And the discussion, and I can't remember the young man's name, but I think he said early he was a white guy, but earlier, I think growing up he went to Rikers.
Yes.
I
know who you mean.
And he went to
Sean. I think Sean.
And he went to Rikers, and his he loved the friends. They were black. He loved them, but then they started bullying him, and he became hateful towards them, not because of their race, but because they started attacking him. And then that's when he decided to become a skinhead and all this other stuff, but it was for protection for him. And he told this story, and I forgot his name, but I really enjoyed it because he said he wanted to learn he had to learn how to hate, because it wasn't in him at first. And he became angry, but then he had an encounter with God. And he became a motorcycle man and all of this, but now the love that he has for everyone. But he said that if he had not met someone, I forgot who it was, but if he had not met someone who helped him refocus, he'd probably be one who's trying to kill people who are different than him.
Right.
But now he's trying to win them to God. That story was awesome, because what happened, sometimes we are a product of our environment.
Absolutely.
And our experiences. So if we don't change it, we become stuck and limited, I believe, in just this little cycle without branching out to get to know other people who may think differently than we do, or believe differently, or have a different religion viewpoint, a different skin color. Y'all see, this is this is my thing, because, and I go to the women prison, Gaston County Women Prison. I go there every second Saturday of the Art Month, and on first Tuesday. When I tell you that's my church, that is my church. That I love those ladies. And they come in all kind of ways. But one of the things I make sure they understand, they are valuable. And I'm not just the one because I'm on the outside, but I come to them because they are valuable. They are valuable people. And Betty Harris, who was one of their chaplains, that lady loved those women. Y'all come on. Yeah. Everybody look at me like, oh.
I was thinking about when you said also about just the parents in the home, but just the discussion. I mean, I remember I am grateful to have parents that discussed so much with young so much with us as children, as young children. I grew up in a private school, and I was the only African American in my class up until about second or third grade. And I remember just some little issues I started having on the playground and going home and asking my dad, what that meant. Had one of my best friends, blonde hair, blue eyed, and she was having a slumber party, and her mom had told her that she could only, in second grade, there was actually another little African American female, and her mom told her she could only invite one of us, and she came crying to the playground. She said, "I can only invite one of you." I didn't really know what that meant. So going home and asking my dad and my parents, like, what did that mean when, my friend comes to the playground and says she's having a slumber party and she can only invite one of us? But to be able to actually have the discussion, the honest discussion, to not actually allow me to get angry about it, but to sit down and let's talk about it, and even meet with parents about it. I remember having my parents meeting with the other parents, and the idea of them being able to discuss it, to make sure that any barriers or different things that they felt that were unknown, but just to make sure that it didn't spill over into us. And I think it's intentional for parents and for those mentors and different ones to talk about these things, and then bring parents and bring people to the table. And not only that, when we talk about the connections, what are we going to do with these connections? To make it intentional that yes, then we start spending the night over each other's house without a slumber party. Just intentions of saying, like you said, you met the guys from the country radio show, but then are you going to make a connection with them? You're going to not think about it. It's just the idea of what I love, how not only you meet, like even with us, to say, okay, well, next Wednesday we're going to be on the show, making the intention to say, I just didn't connect with you to meet you. What else am I going to do? How are we going to make the connections flourish? How are we going to develop? How are these going to be really habits for relationships? Because once you build those relationships, that's when you can go into the deeper parts of, we talk about life and heart and mind, because that's in the deeper parts, in the waters of our minds and our lives. But we have to build on something. It's the continual discussions, the continual sit downs, the continual work that we have to do amongst each other, just to make sure that we fall in love with diversity. Because love just is a covering. It's a multitude, but it's a connection. I remember a song we used to sing, love in any language, straight from the start. Love in any language, it comes from the heart. Love in any language, perfectly spoken here. When you learn to love, and love not only just the diversity of people, but loving just, it's okay if they like something different, from the hobbies, from their music, but how a lot of it is, like you said, I totally agree. We have so much more in common than we do not. Beyond this color, these veins, this heart, this blood that flows is the same.
That's true.
It is the same, and it's like, beyond, and I know it takes a lot to be in the skin. At the same time, it takes even more to be okay with it and then connect with others that are not in your same skin.
Wow. Wow.
And not to be afraid to make a mistake.
Absolutely.
You make a mistake, somebody calls you on it, you fix it.
Yes.
Just to reach in.
You just fix it.
And something that I'm kind of enjoying too is the commonality of, like, just say for things that I'm fighting for and working for women entrepreneurs. Together, I like the commonality and the things that we're sharing together. We're having some of the same problems and issues, and I don't know. I like that I can share that with all the women of the community.
Yeah,
and commonality, because sometimes those adversities that we all face can bring us together too.
Mm-hmm. That's true. And I know, Danette, you work in field of engineering. I know Ms. Ann had just talked about being the second woman. The first one was in 1940. Your second woman in 100 years. You're in a field that is predominantly, I know last Wednesday we said male, but you said not just male. Is even more than that. Is more Asian or?
Yes, white male and international. Women are only 14% of the STEM community outright, and that's science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And then African American women are down to like the 4%. About 35 to 45% do graduate with a degree, but oftentimes after a year, that's women altogether we pull out of the degree, and most of them said because of the hostile environment. Beyond low salary, beyond just, but they said there's the support and the atmosphere of STEM that pulls them out. And we talked about this earlier about just even starting something and being hard, but being in a place where, okay, I know I have to start it, and it may not be easy, but it's worth the effort. And I think oftentimes women, we're hard on ourselves because we'll say, well, I just, maybe this wasn't for me, or I just don't fit. I think there's a confidence and there's a drive that you have to have. And oftentimes, even for me, in the workplace, I found just that, and even after working, and I love my guys, working, and they start to like almost see me like I forget you're a woman. And not that, and I'll take it, as an insult, but the idea of like we have really so much more in common than I thought. Not only just the human part, but the intellectual part, and not having to prove the knowledge that we have. But it's not. I've learned in my career. I think we talked about this Wednesday of when to say and how to say, not to over enunciate who I am and try to overprove, but just to allow people to see and work that relationship. Just as a woman of poise and of grace, and not to. I never say I want to be a man. I want to be. It's that gracious woman, but knowing the knowledge that I have, but never having to throw it out there. Just being me, letting them see the excellence of it, and like I said, going live. Because for me, live is live. There's no rewinds, there's no fast forwards, but maximizing the moment. Oftentimes, we're waiting for opportunities. We've got to take opportunities and be wise in when to take them, because they're thrown there oftentimes. But sometimes we're like, when and where. I thank God for wisdom and just the prayer of saying, God, when and where, what to say and how to say it. And like I was telling them, I'm so passionate oftentimes when I'm talking, but to be passionate, but at the same time to be in a place where it makes people at comfort. That I'm not intimidating when I know that it's a possibility. And it's just being honest to say, well, whether it was a mistake or not, but I mean, it doesn't cost me anything to compromise, not what I know of who I am, but the feel of how I may express something so that you can hear it, because I want you to listen. Yeah. It doesn't cost me anything.
Well, I'm thinking, though, there can be, challenges when you're an outlier, when you're like just the one person among many. So sometimes I think being intentional, which is what we're talking about today, to try to change that.
Yes.
Because when you do, I know for me, once more women, started getting in my entrepreneurial circle, it benefited me enormously, getting talent, insight, help, but also team members. So several people that I've met, in this entrepreneurial ecosystem now, several women are now a part of my team. And there is some power in numbers.
Absolutely.
And so having more women, I mean, whatever, if you're a man in a very dominated woman field, you would probably have the same sort of issues. But it is, I just find it's a big help when because whoever's the biggest number tends to set the culture.
Right.
And, so mixing the numbers up a little bit can provide some.
I think it's important when we're in that minority to be that trailblazer, to add, because to let them see us as who we are, then they'll be more comfortable with bringing others as who we are. We have to, like I said, maximize the opportunities that we have when we're at the tables to show forth that, okay, we represent this team, we represent the gender, when we represent these things. And so when it comes to that more apt, when we have that opportunity to allow and welcome more people in. I see myself as a trailblazer. I'm seeing other young girls and other young women. It's important to me how I maximize the opportunities I have amongst wherever I am, whether it's career or ministry and community, because I believe my representation can make an open door for the next young lady coming in, the next person coming in. So it's important when we're that minority to be not the acts of saying what I am, but just to be who we are, so that we can become the majority.
Because those kids are watching you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. How can we as women, because it is important to have the support. Then one of the hardest things, you're doing things and you're working, and then you have an sister to fight you. And she's the crab. She's the one pulling you down.
Because we've been socialized to do that. We've been socialized to compete with each other for the man, or for the man's attention. That's what we were told at a very young age. A lot of us.
And for the same position. I think you talked about that.
Yes, and the other thing is because, when I first started out in the computer industry, I was one of very, very few women, and I was an anomaly, and I was interesting, and everybody found that to be quite, cute in a way. But when women in technology got to be 30-40% of the workforce, well, then it was a problem.
Wow.
So it's acceptable when you were in small numbers, but you get closer.
Right.
Then it becomes
a problem. We're all competing for supposedly that same position of leadership in that same kind of space, if we're not careful to.
Judy, it seems like you're trying to jump in.
Yeah.
If you notice, you got to jump in. You just got to dive in. You're trying to be polite.
I co-founded a chapter of a global organization here in Tallahassee called the Women's Prosperity Network. And the one thing that attracted me to it was that there was no competition. They didn't believe in competition. Because to me, I believe we only feel like we need to compete when we believe there's not enough to go around. And I've never had that belief. I know that
Yeah.
God gives us plenty to go around.
Yes. Yes.
We just have to see it. If we don't see it, then we don't get it. But I love the philosophy of the Women's Prosperity Network, that we don't compete with each other and we support each other. And we meet once a month here in Tallahassee. And I love that. I love the supportive atmosphere, and the women come there just are thrilled with how positive and supportive it is. So that's
And I think
one
that
thing
I
that's
think that
being
is
done.
really important. And one of the things I shared with Barbara and a couple of other women is that I would like to all of these groups, because we got so many women groups. We got groups doing everything. I want to give out a shout out to my sister Robin, who finally get to tune in. She's usually working, but she's able to tune in today. And of course, my sister Tanya is on here, and so many other, Betty Harris, Joan Thomas, my grandmother, and everybody is on here. Thank y'all so very much for tuning in. There's a lot of people on here. Thank you so very much. But my desire from the Real Talk with Judy show, what we're going to do, we got to get a day to do this, one Sunday evening, just all of the women with all of these different groups and all of these different organizations come together under one umbrella for the sole point of networking and seeing what we have in this city. Because I don't have to compete. I'm good at being Judy. And I'm good at doing what I do. Even if somebody else was to start the Real Talk with Minnie show, it would not be like the Real Talk with Judy show. And so there would be no competition. And we have, and I come to these various groups because I want to glean. I want to know. I want you to help me. I want you to help me be a part. We went to, I think it was Tallahassee Community College Workforce with Kimberly Moore and those who put on with the guy who came from Memphis.
Yeah.
And I can't ever remember these people's names because I am just so excited, you know. And one of the things he said, because someone asked him, how did you, because he's a multimillionaire, he was poor, he has his own plane, So they asked him, how did you compete being a minority? He said he never competed as a minority. He just presented what he had, the best he had. And that has, and he said it doesn't take away the fact that he has challenges as a minority, but he don't compete as a black man. He compete with himself in producing what he has as the best. And I think if we can understand that, I don't have to compete against you because you're a white woman or a black woman or a white male or black male, straight or gay. I don't have to do this. It's me. I'm good. I am. And I'm getting better and better and better.
Right.
And I think if we learn, but we got to I have to intentionally
Right.
connect with other women,
Absolutely.
especially the women. Sisters, hear me. We don't have to compete and fight against each other. Let's celebrate one another, come together, and you see something that I can improve in or something that can help my show.
Right.
If you can see where the Real Talk with Judy show can go to the next level, invite me to the table and show me what you see. You don't have to. I had a lady stop me at the post office and prayed for me and said I have the Oprah anointing. She said I got the Oprah anointing, and she told me how she saw this show in the city, and how it's gonna be all across. The other night, someone asked me, did I have podcasts? I said no. Do you have YouTube? Yes. They're gonna help me get branded. They're gonna pay for it. They're gonna do this. They have listened to the show. You know, that's what it's all about. And if I can help,
Right.
I help. I want to be diversified. I want to bring people mind.
Yes.
So let's help this crazy world.
I love what Judy said about there's just so much to go around. I think about, and I love the idea because there's so many different organizations oftentimes doing some of the same things, and they could be so much more powerful and so much more impactful if they connect. Not changing, but connect to do it together and more wider and better. I love the idea of saying with the organizations where they've come together and talking about what we're doing, not to take away from it, but just to add to it. Because I think it's
pooling resources.
Yes.
So,
That's So
impeccable.
yes, pulling resources.
Yeah.
And you can say what you. This is what my daddy told me before he died. My dad was a police officer. My daddy came from way back there, but they called them boys as a grown man. So my daddy grew up in that era. My daddy told me this, Judy. Like you go in that job and you do your work, cause that white lady can take an hour and a half and get in no trouble. Mm-hmm. You can't. Mm-hmm. I said, I can't. He said, no. He said, girl, you go out there as a black woman, you start acting like them white women, you're going to get fired. I said, so what do I do? He said, go there and do what you're supposed to do and watch the promotion that comes. Mm-hmm. When I tell y'all that on my jobs, every job I've had, I've left nothing but good reports. Mm-hmm. Not in competition, but doing my job like I was hired to do. I hope somebody catching this and think this is real talk with real people. We're in this world is full of hatred. Y'all number 45 is gonna kill y'all. Number 45 gonna kill y'all. Number 40, and if y'all voted for him, I'm sorry, but I'm just saying he got this world in a and I believe that some of the people who even voted for him, listen to me. We can't always y'all help me. We can't always be party. Just save the party. It's about helping the people.
Yeah. You got to think about your fellow Americans and your fellow human beings on the planet.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Beyond the party of the people.
Yes. And y'all, that's what. And we got to help each other. Mm-hmm. We have to help each other.
I think the young people are going to save us.
I do too.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. I think we need to put more into them and lift them up because they no one has told them they can't.
Right.
Yes.
They don't know yet. They haven't been beaten down by the world like we have.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So there's our future right there. My husband and I teach at a teen writing camp in Spartanburg, South Carolina every summer, and it's 2 weeks of kids coming in from all over the world. And we have writers that come in that talk to the kids that represent. We have writers of color, we have writers LGBTQIA, we have all different kinds of writers come in and work with these kids, and these kids can see representation and they can speak their minds, and no one has told them they can't, and they write amazing stories, and they connect with each other, and they keep those connections after they leave camp.
Right.
Summer camp is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And my summer camp is going to be pretty cool too, y'all. That's Dream Builders Great. The summer camp is going to start the week after school or something like that, but it's going to be absolutely good this year. Mm-hmm. I agree with you. Mm-hmm. I believe our kids are going to help save us, and I believe they have to see these adults coming together in spite of our differences and come together for the love of love.
Right. Yes. I would also say though, I think women are coming together.
Oh, I do, because this is the year. What
yeah, it is the year of the woman, and the women are coming together. And I think sometimes if you're a more mature woman, I mean, I think it's our time too. Don't count us out. We're not done.
Oh
no. For a lot of women, when you're have children and you're raising a family and all the demands that you have, sometimes when the kids get a little bit older and you're not as sort of weighted down by those heavy responsibilities, it's your time to fly.
Yes.
And I hope some of the stuff we do is really taking a big focus on more mature women and what they can bring to every sort of effort, whether it's entrepreneurship or political leadership. Women I think are going to make a big difference in the next election, and I think we're going to be better for it.
I believe so. And so, ladies, my sisters out there of all race, color, creed, come on, let's get together. I believe this is the year of the woman. Mm-hmm. I believe it. I believe last year was. We should have put that lady in there. But anyway, that's there I go again. But this is the year of the woman. Mm-hmm. I believe that the Lord is really raising us up. I do believe in the Bible, so I'm not trying to offend anybody. Always making reference to the Bible or to the Lord. But that's where I live. That's my life, and I don't fight other people, but that's my life. And so, but I believe it's our time.
I think it is our time, and I think it's our time for people that there have been barriers or challenges, placed on them, And it's like, getting rid of those things and, taking our place and our opportunities, but doing it in a way where we come together. And I think we're yearning for that to all come together as women
and so y'all
make some change.
Y'all look out for the date, because I'm going to do it. It's going to be all of the women groups, the ones that meet once a month, twice a month, on Wednesday, everything. We have to. You have to make the sacrifice to do this.
Right.
Okay, it's intentional.
Absolutely.
It's intentional. Ladies, right before we go, y'all say something. Each one of you say something to our listening audience. I want to say to the audience who have been listening, thank you so very much. You all have been fantastic. I see your comment. The year of unity. Love this. You can't be always party driven. Yeah, that's it right there. Yes, let's celebrate each other. This is really good. Wish with so many strong women. Love the show. I mean, so many. My sister, Dr. Judy, is awesome. Yeah, I had to do that one time for Gaston County, and that's what it's all about, y'all. So before we end the show, y'all take a minute or so and say something to the audience.
Well, things that you said about being who you are, and the things that you said about your focus on God, I think if we all work on realizing who we truly are, we all have that spark of divinity in us, and if we just be who we are and be comfortable with that, the diversity just flows. It's a natural byproduct. There's no problem. So.
Young and old, I love the word you said, matured. What we need is younger females, just to see that example of those that are making it and that didn't stop. It's just my decree today. The ladies, go live. Just be that lady. Don't be afraid of your intellect. Know your value, and just be excellent. Be who you are, and make it live and make it happen. There's so many things and opportunities for us to take. We want to take them together, and just grow stronger.
I have a lot of hope in the future. Have a lot of hope in women coming together and lifting each other up and bringing everybody with them. I have a lot of hope in our youth, the kids. Look at what they're doing. We can take an example from them coming together, and I just have a lot of hope. Maybe I'm a Pollyanna, but that's okay. That's where I live.
Pollyanna.
And for me, Sheryl Sandberg has a statement, what would you do if you weren't afraid? And for me, as a startup entrepreneur, just a lot of different things in my life that I'm trying to do, I am afraid. I am afraid. So I don't have the luxury of not being afraid. So I just tried, even if I'm afraid, I just do it anyway. And I would encourage a lot of women, like, whatever it is, your mission or goal or passion, sometimes you kind of hold back a little bit, and I did for a long time, but I would say jump in, and get involved with, your community and a lot of different people in your community, and great things will happen for you if you do.
Yeah, and I absolutely appreciate you all for being on the show, Judy, Light, and Vamdermeer, Danette, McBride, Barbara Wescott. I want to thank you all so much for being on the Real Talk with Judy live show. I didn't open it up. I've had people who wanted me to open it up, but I wanted people to hear us. I wanted them to hear you all. This is my first time with my Sister Girls Talk panel, and I want to thank you all for being on here. Listen, one of our daughters said it would be great to share this more than just Facebook, maybe YouTube, women conference, women job site, women building up each other in your community and mine. And we're going to do that. We're going to do that. We're going to be intentional about making things happen. Ladies, I want to invite you to Women Wednesday tomorrow.
Just bring your laptop or a project you're working on. You just come there and do your work, but you're surrounded by others who cannot wait to see you succeed.
I love that. So, and on what
Women's Prosperity Network. Mm-hmm. I invite you there this Saturday at the Sheraton downtown from 9:30 until 1. womensprosperitynetwork.com/Tallahassee. You can get the details there.
Okay, that's great. And you got anything happening?
I'm still working on that anthology. However, in Tallahassee, we have Word of South, that literary music festival that comes in April at Cascades. It's the weekend of the 13th, 14th, I think, April. Y'all should come down to that. There's all kinds of writers and musicians from all over the place. So come to that. Word of South.
Oh, that sounds good. That just sounds good. Then you'll be home getting ready to bury your grandmother. And we're going to say that we're praying for you and your family. We're praying for you and your family. It's never easy to have a funeral, and especially to a matriarch of the family like your grandmother, Mother Stanley, who was 93 years old.
Yes.
We celebrate her life. And right before I end, I would like to give a big shout out to my brother and my sister, Pastors Joe and Robin Davis. They just purchased their brand new church, and I am excited. It is on High Road, and so we celebrate them today as well. Y'all, this has been a good show. This has been a great show. Don't forget, I want to invite you to go to and subscribe to my YouTube channel at Real Talk with Judy Live Radio Show and view this show. So that's the first start of my YouTube channel, the Real Talk with Judy Live Radio Show. Please go subscribe to it. Go subscribe to it. We want to get that happening. I love you all. Thank you all so very much for being on the show. Go make another woman happy today. That's what you do. Go celebrate. Barbara talked about fears. Let's be each other's stepping board and cushion when they fall, so we can help them get up and not land hurt, but land safe. Is that okay? Hey, this has been Real Talk with Judy Live Radio Show. Remember this, I see you in the future, and you look so much better than you do right now. That's real talk.